Hi there, folks. This is the Mel Wright Real Estate Agent Show, episode 76. We've had a slight Christmas break. We're back. We're going to be talking about Active Rain and some questions we got from that forum around technology and how you should run your business. But first, I'm going to let my co-host introduce himself. He looks very relaxed after his Christmas break. Thomas, introduce yourself.
Absolutely relaxed here. Jonathan, thanks for that. I'm Thomas J. Nelson. I am the co-host of the Mel Wright podcast, and I'm also a residential realtor here in beautiful San Diego, California. And you can find me on my website at thomasjnelsonrealtor.com. And I hope everyone's having a wonderful holiday season.
The same as well from me. I'm the founder of Mel Wright. It's an online Facebook, email, marketing, Swiss Army knife of a tool that will generate leads for you. That's its purpose. And so I thought we go straight into it, Thomas. You know, you managed to get some questions. I looked at some. So number one is basically, is anyone using a cloud CRMA and the pros and cons? I think that was one of your starter questions, wasn't it?
Yeah, well, just for context too, what I did is I went on to Active Rain, which is our real estate blog site, and there's a Q&A section, and you can query the questions that have been asked by agents by topic and by popularity. So what I tried to do is pull the most answered questions, meaning the ones that were the hottest topics in the tech category. And so CRMs were one of them. I was surprised to read there is a division between agents. There are those that claim to be old school and they've never used a CRM. And then there's many on there that do, but they've used a variety. Top Producer being one of the most popular responses. I was in the minority. I use Buffini & Company's Referral Maker CRM, which also just launched a Teams version. And then there was some older school ones. Somebody still used ACT, which was one of my first CRM about 17 years ago. And then they kind of went through a variety of other ones that I actually had not heard of, some of them, but the other popular one was Realty Juggler. Market Leader was big, and I've obviously heard of them. They do websites as well, and Wise Agent and Exact, IXACT, was the other one that came up a lot.
Yeah, there's we could spend a whole episode just talking about this subject, actually, Thomas. But the kind of free that obviously Top Producer, which is now a member of News International, I think, own it. And they're the same people that own Realtor.com. It's one of the biggest. The way I would split it up, there's specific CRMs, folks, that have been designed specifically for the real estate industry, but there's also a couple that are really popular that were not specifically designed for the industry, but can still be very effective. The free, then there's, like they say, there's many more. The free that I hear a lot about is Top Producer.
Yep.
Then one that isn't specifically designed for the real estate is Contactually.
Yep.
I hear a lot of people, and the one that I think it's one of the more expensive ones, but it's very featured rich, is Follow Up Boss. I hear a lot of agents tend to be more the higher end or the small boutique brokerages that are using Follow Up Boss. But that's a powerful tool as well.
Well, and the debate, of course, in this question was, people vying for why theirs is the best. And people know I'm a big proponent of the Buffini products. Yeah. And they ask me, well, why do I use it so much? And my advice to them as is in my answer, which is it's the one I use. It's the one that I actually turn on every day and use. So I don't think there's a right or wrong CRM out there. I think it's the one that you'll actually use on a daily basis to perform your CEO and COO duties, and with some CRMs, your CFO duties, and move your business forward. That's the one, because
yeah, I totally agree with you. It's a very difficult subject because whatever one you, a lot of this is going to be personal choice. You've got to be prepared to try some of these, do some active research. You know, if you're not going to use the broker system that the broker is going to supply, and you're probably, you know, even if you're not going to use it, you're going to still be paying for it. But a lot of agents decide, because they just cannot adapt their methodologies to the brokerage offering, they use their own. But whatever, you know, the main thing is whatever one you do choose, you got to, you know, to get a result from it, you got to use it, haven't you?
That's right.
So, but that takes time because you're going to have to try some of these out, and you're going to have to read the help section. The other thing is what kind of support you get. You know, can you do a Zoom? Do they do webinars? Will, like, some of the founders or some of the support staff just go on initially and show you? You know, that's another factor, isn't it, Thomas?
It absolutely is, because, you know, and to your point about trying them, I have used ACT. I used an Excel-based program called My Database. That was a little Bay Area company that I knew. And then I used Top Producer. And, you know, now I'm dating myself. When I was using Top Producer, it was 1998, 1999. It was software. It wasn't an app. It wasn't online. But the support was horrible for it. And that's what turned me off, because it's a very complex CRM with not a lot of support meeting it back then. Now I've heard otherwise since, and admittedly I haven't used it in years. But what I love about my CRM is Monday through Friday, I can call in an 800 number and get a live person to guide me through any issues I'm having. Also, to take suggestions on improvements that I deem would be an improvement on the user friendliness of it, or, hey, how come it doesn't have this feature? And I've actually seen some of my suggestions show up in later versions.
Yeah, they're like all software, you listen to your users, and then if enough of the users are pointing out improvements, there's a consistency. You'd be crazy as a software company not to listen to that initial user group. Obviously, there has to be consistency. So the main thing is you've got to try these out. There is no perfect system, folks. A lot of this is motivation. Just quickly, a couple of sentences, Thomas. What benefit do you think you get from using yours? Not about the system itself, but the benefits that utilizing a CRM that you feel that you get.
Well, I actually feel like I worked each day, because I can see in real time my pie charts and graphs and my workflow charts and my to-do lists. And so throughout the day, I could see how I'm doing with it. So I get a sense of accomplishment each day, because the days go by super quick. And you look back on your day and go, what did I actually do today? And with a good CRM, you can say, oh yeah, I can also see my goals in front of me. So I know if I'm working towards my goals each week. I just feel better organized. I feel more involved in my database. I actually feel empowered to reach out to them in a way that I didn't before. I used to have call reluctance. I don't have that anymore.
No, I think Thomas has made another excellent point there, folks. What I think he's saying, and I'm sure he'll jump in if I've not got this right, is that, and I think whatever CRM you're going to choose, it's one of the benefits of spending that time, and it will take time to learn it, is it provides structure. It provides structure to your outreach, to your lead generation. Because like what Thomas said, time goes quick, and it's very easy to get the feeling that you're not doing anything. And that can be very misleading. But what a CRM should provide is some structure, like what Thomas has just pointed out.
I 100% agree.
So I don't think because I jumped questions, I don't think we go to the second one, because I think if we don't get a guest during the coming month, we can come back to CRMs really. So the next question, it's a CMA, pros and cons using cloud. What's that about, Thomas?
Well, there's an app out there, or a product, if you will, called Cloud CMA, which allows us to go online and create comparative market analysis on properties for our clients. And one of the big debates on Active Rain was, is it worth spending the money? I'm in the absolutely yes camp, because I use Cloud CMAs as door openers. First of all, I do an annual review for all my clients that have purchased a property from me, and I use Cloud CMA to show up at their door on an appointment and say, here's the latest, because otherwise they're going to go look at Zillow and rely on Zillow's data. So what I'm trying to show them is, here's what somebody that's doing an organic report on their property and doing proper comparisons can show you the value of your property. And it's not what I say it's worth, it's what the market says it's worth based on recent sales on like properties. It's also a great way to get introduced to people that call in. A lot of people call in and they want to get the value of their property. I use this report, and it puts together a really nice report. And it could be as lengthy or as streamlined as you want to make it. You can customize it. But it usually takes people by surprise, the quality and the detail of the report that I give them. And one thing I do like about Cloud CMA is it does include a Zillow report. It says this is what Zillow says your home's worth. So it addresses that issue. And I think it's a good thing, because it's the elephant in the room until you bring it up.
Yeah.
And you might as well address it, because it's just part of the industry now. But I like it because it shows, well, here's what Zillow says, but here's what the market says. And the market, in my opinion, trumps Zillow, because Zillow just uses a logarithm that leaves out a lot of the factors that an appraiser or a realtor would consider.
Yeah. So which ones have you looked at? Which ones have you used, and which ones are you using now?
Well, the one, the only one I've used is literally called Cloud CMA. And I got introduced to it through Coldwell Banker when I worked for Coldwell Banker for more than a decade. And so when I left Coldwell Banker and opened up my own office, I continued with it. So real honestly, I haven't explored any other Cloud CMA or CMA programs out there, because I've been extremely happy with this one.
And its price?
Jonathan, I'd have to look it up, to be honest with you, because I've been using it for so long. It's sitting on a credit card that just renews every year. But it's
that's software that you're using, isn't it?
Oh yeah, yeah, absolutely use it. I mean, unless something came along that was better for some reason, if it's not broke, don't tamper with it, is my opinion. So it's not something I have to think about. I just let it roll. I mean, there's a few things in my business that unless somebody does something better, or my current product or service fails me in some way, it becomes part of the just the background, and so I don't have to think about it.
Yeah, but I think everything Thomas has said is totally correct, folks. I think if you really got to use one of these services, and Cloud CMA, I've heard it, and it's got a pretty good reputation. There are some other players. I'll do some research, and in the show notes, I'll try and put some more links, and Thomas will do some show notes as well. Yes. And we'll get a nice resource package up for you folks on the website. Let's go on then. Using video email, or what do you want to say about it, and what did the forum have to say about this?
Well, people were just asking if they use it and which one they use. And there's a variety out there. The two that I've used, I used iJot for many years, but iJot actually just shut down. I mean, they just, it was, they made an announcement, and they're just walking away from the whole thing.
Yeah.
So that was kind of leaving me to go to the competitor, which was BombBomb.
Yeah.
And I started using video email about 3 or 4 years ago. There was a company, I can't remember off the top of my head, but about 10 years ago that came out with it. But it was a kind of a pyramid multi-level thing where you use the service, but you also had to sell the service. And it was so clunky that I didn't use it, but the concept made sense to me. So when iJot and BombBomb came around, I started using it because it's better than a phone call, not as good as an in-person meeting. It's that kind of middle ground of communication where they get to see your face, hear your personality and your voice inflections, but and it's short. You know, you want to keep them under a minute or less. But I got a lot of great response from it, and I use it sparingly. I don't use it all the time because I don't want the novelty of it to wear off. So
we must be we're well suited because we think the same thoughts. That was just what I was just about to say. You took the words. I think BombBomb is a fantastic product, folks. I think the parameters that Thomas has laid out, you should really listen to. I think it's a powerful tool, but not a tool that you should use sparingly. And if you can afford, I think it's around $49 plus that they're charging per month, and you could use it for specific targets. I think it will be well worth it. I think the novelty wears out, and I think as more and more agents use it, then it will become a problem because it will become less effective as more agents use it. But if you can pay for it and use it for specific targets, it will always be useful, won't it?
Oh yeah, I mean, and I'll just give you a couple quick applications. I'll use it as a follow-up to an introduction. I first meet a client. It's a follow-up. If I meet a client only online and over the phone because they're an out-of-state seller, for example. I mean, I've literally sold homes for people I've never met face to face. So it's a great way to introduce myself to them. I'll use it for special occasions, send a birthday wish. And then in my business, where I use it the most effectively is the major steps of each process. So if you're a buyer, let's just say the 12 major steps you're going to take, or the 12 major steps of a seller. I have pre-made videos to kind of introduce them to each phase of their process. So it's a little more personalized touch. And then I'll give them the notes, the show notes, if you will, with that, so that they can refer back to it without having to listen to the message.
Yeah, I think obviously you've got to be the type of person that comes across well on video. If you're like bolt straight and you're like robotic in your voice with no personality, and I'm not trying to be horrible here, folks. I've known some agents like that are very effective in many other ways, but video wasn't their cup of tea. Even with MailRight, what we suggest is that we help agents set up a Whistler account, which is totally free, and using your webcam, you can do your own video and you can plant it in your own emails that you can send out through MailRight if you want to do that, and we show you how to do that. So, but when it comes to BombBomb, it has a pretty slick interface and it's well integrated in Gmail. So, but there's other alternatives. Like I say, you can use your own one and use it with a system like MailRight.
Sure. I mean, you could even do a video with your smartphone and just text it to them or send it in an email. You don't have to subscribe to a service. The nice thing about the service, though, is it gives you kind of a nice interface for the video and a place to put text and your contact info and all that. It's a very clean delivery.
Yeah. But like I say, if you're using, so I'll be repeating myself, and you don't want to hear that, listeners, do you?
Next question.
Next question. I think it's powerful. I think, just to recap, it's powerful. It does work for the right target, can be abused. You can go potty with it and send it over to everybody. And as more agents use it and abuse it, it will become less effective. If you understand what I mean.
I'll make one last point. I don't ever mass video email. It's very personalized to that person, with the exception of my stages of escrow. So it's a video version of a handwritten personal note.
I think it's very similar to email. A lot of people, when we're offering support and training, we say, you know, MailRite, these messages are right for this particular target audience. You know, but this ain't your hot leads. These hot leads, they need a more personalized, more focused message because they're active in the market. So you really got to think about your database segregation, and what you're going to send to different people in the selling or buying process. You know, there's got to be a bit of thought. You see so many agents just send some canned email to everybody, and they haven't really thought that wasn't really that's just not really relevant for that particular prospect in theirs at the present moment. Did that make sense, Thomas?
Yeah, I it's 100% agree with that, because and this kind of almost creates the order. I mean, you have your CRM, you get to know your people, you're putting notes about them, you know who is going to receive this well versus who might need a phone call or a letter or whatever. But the it's specific to a group of people within the larger group of your database that this works best for. And you got to know who your clients are, and or as you were talking about your leads, there's some people that are going to need or you can get away with a more generic drip incubation versus those that need that personalized touch.
Yeah, if you've got somebody that's done business or has been referred to you personally, and they're saying, and you had a conversation with them, and they're hot, you know, they're in the market, or they say, you know, give us a call back in 3 months, and they sound pretty serious. Sending them some generic message that even that MailRite provides isn't suitable. What they're going to need is they're probably going to need some personal about the properties that are or coming on the market that might be suitable, or information about price if they're selling. You know, that type of client needs more, you know, a lot more individual. That individual you send a personal video email to, don't you?
Yep, absolutely. And it pays to ask each person you're working with how they like to receive information and or their communication. So, I mean, if you're emailing a person that prefers phone calls, that's not going to work out well. So know how they want to receive your communications and then tailor it accordingly.
I think that's another excellent point. A lot of agents don't ask that and don't listen when they are told. And like you say, you know, people say it's older people that don't like. No, folks. I know a load of older people that are love their technology, I know older people that don't like it. I know younger people. You really got to find out, haven't you, Thomas?
Absolutely. I mean, I always joke with people. My dad got an iPhone before I did. You know, he's 22 years older than me. It has nothing to do with age. It's just their mindset and who they are, and you know,
their interests, their mindset,
exactly.
You know, their profession, blah blah blah. We just like to stereotype because it makes life. It seems to make life easier for us. But it normally also leads to our biggest mistakes as well, folks. That's my experience. Now, on to using send out cards. What was the story behind that?
Oh, somebody was just asking about, there's you know, and these days there's a ton of services that do this. There's some apps on my phone that do this, but send out cards is a nice service where you create an account and they have just a ton of cards that are pre-made for all occasions, or you can custom make. You can add photographs, either of your clients or their house or whatever, and they send them out. And you can set up campaigns so that there's something going out to your database every month or however often you want to touch them. So people people were asking about that service, and I think that's a nice service for the in-between times. But I got to be honest with you, I just had a birthday a few months back, and I received about 5 or 6 pre-printed cards from my insurance guy and one of my lenders, and things like that. And you open them, you glance at them, and right in the trash they go. But the handwritten ones I kept. That I put them up. Because they represent care, they represent effort, and they just meant something to me. So I would say send out cards is a great way to supplement that kind of communication. But at the end of the day, you can't outperform a handwritten personal note.
There's a middle ground, folks. There's a service. I once again, I totally agree with Thomas. But it's becoming a bit of a cliche, isn't it, folks? Basically, there's a service called Bond. It's git.bond.co, and they use robots, folks. They've got a little warehouse of little robots, and they write notes. And it kind of mimics, you choose a handwritten font, and it's $5 a note. So you're only gonna send it to your people that have done some real business with, or you think is going to be a active prospect in the next 6 months. But it has the effect. I did a campaign on my other business where we were aiming, and what we did, we typed out a letter, and then we wrote a hand note, and the envelope was handwritten, and we got a much better response by doing that, by handwriting. It will get the letter opened.
Yep.
And it is powerful, because now a lot of people aren't using mail, and whatever your competitors aren't using, that's the thing you should use. But it's similar to the videos. The problem is send out cards, great service, great company. But like what Thomas said, if you're going to have, your birthday turns up and you get, and it's linked to what Rick said about birthdays coming through your LinkedIn, and I think you remarked it, didn't you, in a previous episode?
Right.
The people that write, if you just get an automatic great hearing your birthday through LinkedIn, so what? But if somebody's actually written a personal message through LinkedIn, it's much more effective, isn't it?
Absolutely. I mean, again, it goes back to, they took the time to put some thought into this. They didn't just push a button. I mean, and there's times where it's appropriate. I mean, like I said, those in-between times, I may send them a personal birthday card, but then send them a send-out card, or I like to use Ink Cards app or Postagram, because you can take photos right out of your phone, pop them into a postcard or a greeting card format, just like send-out cards, and send it to your client. And it's a fun way to personalize it with photography. If I have a picture of me with one of my clients standing in front of their new home holding a sold sign, and I send that to them with a little note on it, I think that's just as effective as some sort of a follow-up. But again, for those big moments, I like to handwrite it, and that's just my position on it.
And that's why you need a CRM, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right. We're tying this all together.
Back into that, because you're not going to remember all this, folks.
That's right.
So no matter how good you think you remember it, there is absolutely no time. And there's a pattern here, isn't there, Thomas? I think there's a pattern of automation which gives you the space to do personalized lead generation.
Exactly.
It's not, and I with the people that are using MailRite, I kind of trying to hammer this away to them. I say, use our calendar system, and we provide content, but also put your own local content, and you can do it, schedule a time during the week and then log in to MailRite and place your own local content and mix it with the MailRite content that goes on your Facebook page and your Twitter, right? Do some email marketing. Use our service for that large group that can recognize your face, but they're not actively in the market at the present moment. So that's a little tap on the shoulder. Use our Facebook retargeting service. So a post that we write for you is shown up. And it's all about little touches, but also doing a little bit of automation that gives you the oxygen to do this real personal stuff we're talking. So it's a strange mixture, isn't it, Thomas?
It is, but you're dead on, because if you can automate a certain amount of it that is acceptable to be automated, if you will, it does give you the room to bring in the personalization, so that your clients are getting those touches. So they may get your monthly email, and they may see a couple posts that, you know, they don't know if it's coming from Mailrite or not, for example, because they're cleverly written. But then on top of that, you have time to then go on to your social media maybe once a day and spend 5 minutes putting something more personalized or localized. Or now that most of what you're doing is automated, you have time to sit at your desk and write 10 personal notes a day, because you're not taking the time to do all those other tasks that have been automated now.
And the reason why it's so important, folks, and why so many agents, you know, Thomas is not one of them. Thomas is very good at this. And some of our guests, Darren, Cecil, you know, it's been the same story, is people want to hire a professional but trusted agent. Right. They want to provide somebody that helps, that's on their, that they feel that's on their side and gets the job done, and gets it done in the least painful, because this is you know, this is probably their biggest financial resource that they've got, and they want somebody that they can trust that can get the job done. Would you agree with that, Thomas?
100%. I mean, I equate it to going out to eat dinner. I mean, I can make my own dinner at home. I can probably sell my own house if I'm Joe Public, but I go out to dinner to have a meal that's better prepared than the one I can. And with a service that comes with it that gives me an experience while I'm having that meal. And it's the same in real estate. You want to have a good experience, but have an agent that at the end of the day can deliver the goods through their competence and their character, but have a good experience. It's, you know, Brian Buffini uses an expression that I love, because your service it can be the best service in the world, but if you don't leave people with a good feeling, it's like taking fine champagne and pouring it in a dirty glass. And nobody's going to want to drink it, even though it's the best champagne on the planet. And so you have to be good at what you do, but you also have to do it in such a way that people have a good experience while they're doing it with you.
I think that's very well put. We're going to go for our break, folks, and then we're coming back. We've got a sponsor, a Facebook sponsor, and we'll be coming back in a minute. We're coming back, folks. We're talking some more about topics that we found on Active Rain. We thought we wouldn't have a guest on this. You know, you got to have some mercy. You know, they need some downtime, don't they? But before we do another episode, we love talking to you, the audience. We've got some great plans in the new year. We've got new graphics. We've upped our game as well. Thomas has come on board on 2016, and it's made an enormous difference as well. So on to the next one. Should realtors have a YouTube channel? If so, how would you use it for lead generation?
Yeah, that was a question that came up, and you know, I'm not going to sit here and say you should have one, because I don't think you should have anything that you're not going to utilize. It's getting back to the CRM. I mean, if you like making videos, if it comes naturally to you, or with a little bit of training, you can get on board with it, then I would say yes. But if you're going to have one, you got to have content on it. And it can't just be a bunch of cute puppies and kitties. I mean, you got to have real estate content. I do have a YouTube channel, but I am not shy about being in front of the camera. And it's not because, you know, I'm not a Brad Pitt. It's just because I've seen.
I thought you were his brother.
You know, I think people get hung up on how they look on video, or how, you know, maybe how they sound. But I mean, authentic is what it's all about these days. And so, you know, for better or for worse, all my flaws with me, I go on camera and I'll do little snippets of all around La Jolla and San Diego, and everything from these are my 5 favorite coffee shops. This is my favorite.
I know some of your videos, you get some of your chamber colleagues and you kind of grab them and you do a video straight there. They look shocked and they look in some of them have a face of horror as you're introducing them, I noticed. But it's just a quick introduction of their business. They must love it, really.
Yeah, you know, and I'll tell you that, and what Jonathan's referring to is I'll do vlog interviews. I'll go out and interview some of the small businesses and entrepreneurs in San Diego and shine a light on them and post them on YouTube. And my favorite comment back is when somebody tells me they've put it on their website and they've monetized it. They've actually made a sale because somebody watched that video. I've had so many people tell me that.
Folks, when a friend or an associate saying, I'm thinking of selling my house, who do you think they're going to recommend that they should approach?
Right. Well, and that's the other thing. It demonstrates yet another level of marketing that you bring to the table that may be a cut above the competition. I mean, I'm always looking to differentiate myself in a way that benefits my client. So if I'm with a talent that allows me, or a perceived talent that fools me into thinking I'm good enough on camera, you know, it's just little video shorts. And just like we're doing right now, it's a conversation. You know, we're not doing these formal interviews. It's not the third degree. I'm just having a conversation with people with some, you know, I have an idea of the questions I want to ask them. And some questions I throw away because I don't think they're appropriate, and other questions come to my mind because of something they say, but that's because I'm listening to them. So I would say that the YouTube channel is fantastic if you're going to use it and load it with content and keep it updated.
Yeah, I think folks, in agreement again, you know, if you're just gonna do one video and that's all that's gonna be on your channel, it's a bit like your Twitter and your Facebook page.
Exactly.
But I have a kind of the reality of Facebook business page is a lot of your posts Facebook are cut down the reach, but it's really important to see activity, and then you got to play the game Facebook wants to play. You got to spend a little bit of money, and that's why through one of our systems we boost a purpose written post, then goes to your website, and there's other parts of it, but I won't go into that. But you got to play the game, and it's the same with YouTube. You got to play the game. If you're just going to do one video and then that's all that, and then do one a year, it's not worth the bother. And actually, I think it will harm you. It will show to people that you're not very effective at marketing yourself. And if you're not going to be very effective at marketing yourself, you certainly ain't going to be effective at marketing their house. That's so it has a really bad message, folks. But on the other hand, you want a mixture. I think Thomas is doing this. Some videos need to be professionally done, which you then can use on your website and for your Facebook channel, for multiple channels. And they're called what I call evergreen videos. They could be about the area, about a specific part of town, the restaurants, the schools, and you can use that for your website. And then they need to be semi-professionally done. And then you have these shorter videos. You got most people got iPhone or Android, great camera, really easy to take a quick video, 3-4 minutes, and you just want to book a little bit of time. And another thing you could do, which I haven't seen many agents do, is the power of Facebook Live. And I've seen agents videoing themselves and saying, I'm going to do this every day, or I'm going to do this every second day, and then 6-7 weeks in, it stops. Who wants to see a freaking agent every day? Right. But what you can do is that, like, twice a week, you could go to a local business, sit down with them, and get a short so you can stand where you can put your camera, and you could have a live discussion about their business, and you'd be amazed at the amount of people you get. 100, 200, sometimes you get 3, 5, 6, 7, 800 people watching that video, and it's great, isn't it?
Absolutely. And it's not a big investment. I mean, I do all this. I got an iPhone stand adapter that attaches to a standard photography tripod. I bought a lavalier mic that plugs into the iPhone so that if I'm outdoors or in a loud place, I can zone in on the speaker. I do it all on my iPhone, and I do the editing on a standard program that comes with any Microsoft computer.
Movie Maker?
Yeah, Movie Maker. So I mean, literally the most expensive thing I bought was the iPhone, and that, you know, I'm using for multi purposes. So it's not a big production. And I agree with you. I just shot a professional video, an evergreen, if you will, of myself as an introduction, kind of updating my agent profile. I just shot that last week with a professional crew. So I do invest in that. But a lot of these videos I go out and it's, you know, it's just kind of me, my phone, and whoever I'm interviewing or whatever business or popular spot in San Diego that I'm highlighting. And it is about San Diego or the business or the entrepreneur. It's rarely about me because, like you said, you know, even I get bored hearing my own story.
You get a lot of agents, folks, say, "Oh, I don't like the sound of this. I don't, you know, I'm not up to go." Folks, gonna be. I'm not trying to be nasty. If you're not up for this, I think you're in the wrong business. This is marketing. This is about differentiating yourself. This is about why somebody should hire you. And if you can't do these type of things, I understand why you thought you should get a real estate license, but I don't think the industry is right for you. What do you think, Thomas?
If it was 25 years ago, I would have disagreed with you, but this is the day and age we're in, Jonathan. You're absolutely right. I mean, you have to accept the fact that social media and video and whatever else is coming down the pike. I mean, I didn't need three-dimensional Matterport virtual tours and drone video even 3 years ago to sell a house. I technically don't need them now, but you know, there's expectations, and we want to not only meet them, but we want to exceed them. And that's just the world we live in. You know, I've kind of figured out the internet's not a fad, so I'm kind of rolling with it. And, you know, I don't go for every shiny bell and whistle, but the ones that have staying power, that seem to grab the attention of the masses, you'd be crazy not to take advantage of them for your own business growth and for the marketing benefits that your buyers and sellers get from it.
That's great. On to the next one.
Yes.
Do you send out an electronic email newsletter? If so, which newsletter have you found gets the highest blah, blah, blah? Well, I'll start off this time. Yes, you should do. The second part of the click rates, well, obviously you want people to open it. But that shouldn't really be your dominant reason why you're doing it. It's about building relationship. It's about keeping yourself in front. And it's also back once again to the start of this conversation why I would strongly advise you to find a CRM. I'm not going to recommend, you know, Thomas has got the one that he strongly uses and recommends. I haven't got one that I strongly recommend because I think you should try a number of them if you've got the time. But you should use one, and you should still use email marketing. But I see email marketing used appallingly by most agents. I see email marketing used by most agents in the most lazy, not thought out ways. They send an email to somebody that probably could recognize them that is in no shape or form looking for a property in the next 6 months to 12 months. And then they send them a price, you know, a pricing trend. Might get opened, might not be marked as spam. Is it really going to be any interest to somebody that really isn't in the market? I doubt it. but somebody that is in the market in the past next 3 to 6 months, then it's still probably not sufficient. You should be more customizing what you send out and who you're sending it out to, if you understand. What do you think of that? I was on a bit of a rant there, wasn't I, Thomas? Do you agree with it, or do you think I was just ranting?
No, what I'm pulling out of it is you're right. I mean, first of all, there are a variety of products out there you can use. So I can't even go down that path. I could just tell you that I use basically 3 different types of newsletters. I use predominantly the one that it's called an e-report that I get through Buffini and Company. They do it for me, and it ties in as almost like a part 2 to my hard copy mailer. So on the 1st of the month, somebody's getting a mail piece from me. On the 15th of the month, they're getting the sequel to that.
Who are you sending it to?
That's going to in my CRM to my core database. So there's 1,200 people in my database. That's going to the core 200 as far as the mailer. Now the e-report goes out to the full 1,200, and I get a 22%. I'm just looking at my averages open rate. So a low month for me would be 14 to 17%. I'm looking at here, but I'm looking at several months where I'm getting a 22, 21, 22. Yeah, so a pretty consistent, say around 22% open rate. The interesting thing is I'll get out of those maybe 5 or 6 actual responses per month, and they're never from the same people. So this is speaking to what you were bringing up. The topic or the subject matter is going to appeal to different people at different times. So you never know what exactly is going to connect. So a variety is necessary.
I personally would differ slightly from you, but if it's see, I would use those reports, and I would imagine, what is it, trends in your actual region, pricing changes. What is the kind of information in first in that hard newsletter and then the email version? What is in it?
They're both designed to demonstrate my competence and my character. So competence would be industry related topics like the top 5 things you can do to improve your curb appeal, or what are the trends in solar energy. And then there's the character piece the following month, which is maybe how to let your child, how to teach your child to adapt to a new school when you move, or something more of a feel-good lifestyle piece, like the top 10 trends in technology this year that has nothing to do with real estate. So it's information and it's lifestyle pieces. There's things like how to improve your credit or how to avoid cyber crimes. It's a variety of things, and it goes back and forth. And then the secondary piece is just like additional information, sort of a recap in case you missed the mailer. And of course, the mailer doesn't hit the entire database that receives the e-report, so it has to make sense as a standalone piece.
Yeah, I think I see where it's going. The way I would change it, this is my personal, and I'm biased, of course, is that I think I would, like the MailRite system, we use a slightly different methodology. We have real estate topics, and then we have some other topics that the agent can choose from. And it's more, I was going to use the word wacky, but I've learned not to use that because that has connotations, bad connotations. But we have engagement topics. We try and make the message short, but be engaging and have a link to a larger version of the story. And we troll the internet finding suitable stories that have personal interest. So it's a light touch. My only concern about what you've just described is, but I haven't seen the content, so I can't pass a judgment. You put me on the list, so I'll get some of it. Okay. It depends how long. What I have a problem with, which I don't know what they provide, is I find a lot of this content is a bit like War and Peace, Thomas. They send these horrendously, really very long email that accountants, CPAs are notorious for this. There's a number of services that do it, and you get this long email, and you don't read any of it, and you just scan it most of the time. But because you like the person, you don't unsubscribe because you don't want to offend them, but you don't really look at it. Where a shorter, more focused story actually gets engagement, gets read, and brings a smile to the person.
Yep.
But on the other hand, what about the people that you're contacting that you know aren't looking right now, but you've got, based on your experience, you know, you got a gut feeling that they might be actually selling or buying in the next 6 to 8 months? What do you do with them?
Sure. Well, to address what your concern you brought up, my e-reports are under usually 100 words. They're about 3 short 2 or 3 sentence paragraphs and very graphically pleasing. There's a lot of graphics and charts and things like that. So to your point, you're exactly right. These are meant to be read in a minute or less. You can at a glance them and have an idea. They're basically one side of one page with a ton of graphics. But you're right. So there's multiple layers to my marketing, because the more valuable the piece, if you will, the more concentrated a market that goes to. So what I send to, for example, my A+ A and B clients, they get the whole ball of wax. But then I might trim that down to my C clients who are still, we're trying to see where they're going to fit. They might get a lighter version of the full package that the clients that are referring me business and doing business with me already get. And then there's the incubation people that they even get less, but they still get something. So everyone's getting something in the mail that I have an address for at some point. What it is depends on who they are. Everyone's getting an e-report and additional emails occasionally, and then those are geared towards who they are. Are they an already existing client, a current active client that's new, or a lead? And then that includes video, emails, and so there's postcards, there's letters, there's the glossy items of value, we call them. There's the e-report. So it's layers upon layers, but the more layers go up with the value of the client, if you will.
Yeah, I see where you're going. I think we leave that because we could talk. We could talk another whole episode about it. And I think what we're given, folks, is you want to think about it a bit more. It's a bit more. Do this. Let's finish off monetizing your blog. How to? I don't think. Well, what do you mean by monetize, folks? If you mean monetize blogging. There's blogging. They're talking about producing evergreen content about your local area, and then continuous small blogs that build up around that evergreen content. That can be video and written content. Is a great idea, and it will, in the end. And the more you talk about specific areas, the more you'll dominate search around that area, and so it will monetize. If you mean a direct monetization, I don't think that is going to happen. What do you think, Thomas?
Yeah, I think the debate that was going on around that question was more, is there a way to make money from blogging? You know, in other words, they were kind of questioning the whole validity of spending time blogging. And you know, my response in that debate was the same as the YouTube question: is, do you like to write? Do you like to do it consistently? Do you enjoy it? Does it happen naturally for you? It does for me. You know, I wake up every morning and the first thing I do is create content for a blog or continue something I've been working on. I do it naturally. I enjoy it. So if that's you, then I would blog, because it's a great way to make money in real estate. How? Well, so first of all, it draws attention to yourself. Again, it's another benefit to your client, because you're going to include a blog about their house that you're selling. You're also going to use your blog to create a Q&A section. So the top 20 questions you could ask the most, instead of having to type that up every single time a client emails you, all you have to do is go to my blog and send them a link. Here's that question answered in detail. So it saves you time, because you're able to now automate some of the Q&A that you have with your clients. And then lastly, I've actually gotten deals from it. I mean, people that have read my blog have said, hey, I liked what you said there. I had a guy once tell me that the guy that wrote the blog I just read needs to sell my daughter her house, because that's the kind of character I want representing my daughter. So, it's as simple as that. Sometimes you just connect with the right person enough to where they want to engage you as their professional realtor. And I'll even go a step further. I'm on this blog, or I'm on this Active Rain site blogging on different topics. So I try to do a variety. That led me to getting interviewed by Jonathan on MailRight, which led to me co-hosting this podcast a few months back. So there's opportunities in there that you can't even fathom are going to come your way, that are outside of the scope of just real estate or whatever your chosen industry is that you're blogging about.
I think that's greatly put. I think if you really, really hate it, folks, you're just not going to continue with it. But it also doesn't have to be as burdensome as people think. I think if you're linking it to video and it's going to be an evergreen piece that's going to stay on your site, you can get professional help. We've had an expert on that come on the show a couple of weeks ago.
Right, Tracy Franks.
Tracy. And then you just supplement it where so you have a page with a professional video with professional edited content. And then you just add your posts, and in your posts can be short, but you link to that evergreen page on your website. Is that hopefully that's making sense, Thomas, isn't it?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Because let's just say, I mean, I'm kind of a diehard blogger, but let's just say you dial it back a notch and you're interested in it, but you're not going to get up and do it like I do every day. You could pre-write or hire someone to pre-write some good content, maybe 24 blogs, and have them set up, and they can launch twice a month, automated, so that at least you're posting a couple blogs every month on topics that you've laid out in a schedule, if you will, for the year. Then, as the mood hits you, in between those times, you can add more content. People are going to see you're consistent. But then there'll be months where you might post more content than others, but at least you've got a certain amount of content coming onto your blog on a consistent basis. Because, and Jonathan alluded to this earlier, when I get a referral and I can't connect my referral to someone in my main Buffini or CRS databases, I go to Active Rain. That's my third place to go. And if I find someone in an area, but I look at their blog, and the last time they blogged on it was 2007, and that leaves a bad feeling in my mind of like, well, I wonder how attentive they're going to be to the client, or I wonder how serious they are as an agent, or if they're even still around. I mean, it does play into the decision-making process. So as we've said, and I don't want to beat a dead horse, but if you're going to have anything, a social media site, a blog, a video site on YouTube, make sure you're keeping it consistent, because if it looks abandoned, that's going to be worse than if you didn't have it at all.
I think that's a great point. I think we've got to wrap this off. Thomas has got to go off in the next few minutes. So, folks, I hope you had a fantastic Christmas. I hope you have a great New Year. We're going to see you in the New Year. We've got an interesting guest that's going to join us next week. I'm not going to tell you, but you're going to be surprised.
Yeah, I'm excited about it.
Hopefully, Thomas will rustle up some more great guests on the show as well in the new year, and we move forward. What would you like to say, Thomas, to end the show?
Yep. Well, first of all, Happy New Year to everybody. And thank you for listening. And please subscribe. And also, please leave your comments on, especially on iTunes. It really helps the show. We really appreciate you listening, and looking forward to bringing you some fantastic guests in 2017. I've already lined up a good dozen people that are some really interesting and a variety of people. My name's Thomas J. Nelson. I'm a San Diego residential realtor, and you can find me on thomasjnelsonrealtor.com, and I'm never too busy for your referrals.
Yeah, and I just want to say, Thomas, it's been a pleasure working with you in 2016. Thank you for agreeing to be my co-host. It's been a pleasure. And we'll see you next week, folks. Another episode of the Mail Right Real Estate Agent Show. See you next week, folks. Bye.
Bye-bye.